The year is 2026. The Middle East is a powder keg. Following devastating coalition strikes on the Natanz nuclear facility, the Islamic Republic of Iran has crossed the red line. Tehran has executed its ultimate threat, the complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil is now trapped behind a wall of explosives. Under the cover of a moonless night, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy deployed hundreds of advanced bottom-tethered smart mines across the narrow shipping lanes. These aren't relics of the past. These are acoustic and magnetic influence mines, programmed to ignore small craft and detonate only under the massive hulls of supertankers or warships. The global response is immediate panic. Within hours, Brent crude spikes past $150 a barrel. The International Energy Agency declares a catastrophic global crisis. Central Command cannot allow the strait to remain closed. A carrier strike group, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford, is ordered to force a passage through the minefield. Leading the vanguard is the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, USS Gravely. Its mission: utilize advanced sonar to chart a safe path through the newly laid minefield. The tension on the bridge is suffocating. Every sonar ping is analyzed. But the Iranian mines are coated in anechoic rubber, making them nearly invisible to standard detection. At 0400 hours, the unthinkable happens. The USS Gravely triggers a magnetic anomaly. A massive underwater explosion rips through the starboard bow. The blast tears a 20-foot hole in the hull. Alarms blare as seawater floods the lower decks. The Gravely is crippled, dead in the water, and highly vulnerable. This was not a random strike. It was an ambush. Within minutes of the explosion, radar detects a swarm of incoming contacts moving at over 50 knots. It is the IRGC's fast attack craft. Dozens of heavily armed speedboats operating in a coordinated wolfpack formation emerge from the coastal fog. The Gravely's automated phalanx close-in weapon systems engage, filling the air with a deafening roar of depleted uranium rounds. Several Iranian boats are shredded instantly, erupting into fireballs. But there are too many. They are employing a saturation tactic designed to overwhelm the ship's defenses. The fast boats unleash a volley of short-range anti-ship missiles and unguided rockets at the crippled destroyer, aiming for the bridge and radar arrays. Aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, 30 miles away, the strike group commander orders an immediate scramble. The deck becomes a chaotic ballet of orchestrated violence. F-35, Lightning IIs, and F/A 18 Super Hornets are catapulted into the night sky, their afterburners burning bright against the darkness. The air cavalry arrives in minutes. The F-35s, utilizing their advanced targeting pods, rain precision-guided munitions down on the IRGC swarm. The surface of the water becomes a graveyard of burning fiberglass and twisted metal. The immediate threat to the Gravely is neutralized, but the battle has just begun. Deep inside Iranian territory, the IRGC Aerospace Force has been waiting for this exact moment. The U.S. carrier group has revealed its exact position. Utilizing advanced targeting data provided by coastal radar and drone relays, Iran launches a salvo of Fateh 110 anti-ship ballistic missiles. These are not crude rockets. These missiles are equipped with maneuverable re-entry vehicles, designed specifically to evade American missile defense systems. Aboard the U.S. cruisers escorting the carrier, the Aegis combat system detects the incoming ballistic threat. The warning claps in the sky. Vampire, vampire, vampire. The U.S. ships ripple-fire SM-3 interceptor missiles. The sky above the Persian Gulf is crisscrossed with the contrails of the world's most advanced weaponry. High in the stratosphere, kinetic kill vehicles collide with the Iranian warheads. Brilliant flashes of light illuminate the night sky like artificial suns. The Aegis system performs flawlessly, intercepting the majority of the barrage. But in modern warfare, perfection is impossible. One missile slips through the net. The warhead slams into the flight deck of the USS Boxer, an amphibious assault ship operating on the edge of the strike group. The impact is devastating. Dozens of Marines and sailors are killed instantly. Aircraft on the deck are obliterated in a chain reaction of secondary explosions. The United States has just suffered its most significant naval casualties since the Second World War. The threshold of limited engagement has been shattered. In Washington, the president is awakened. The order is given. The gloves are off. The Persian Gulf is about to become a sea of fire. Retaliation is swift and overwhelming. The Pentagon authorizes a massive, coordinated strike package targeting Iran's coastal defense infrastructure and missile silos. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, flying directly from Diego Garcia, penetrate Iranian airspace undetected. Their payload, 5,000-pound GBU-72 bunker busters. The bunker busters are designed specifically for this moment. They strike the hardened underground silos of the IRGC Aerospace Force with pinpoint accuracy. Simultaneously, F-35s systematically dismantle Iran's coastal radar networks and anti-ship missile batteries along the northern coast of the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian military command structure is severely degraded, but Tehran's strategy has never relied solely on conventional forces. They activate the axis of resistance. Across the region, Iranian proxy forces receive the green light. In Iraq and Syria, heavily armed militias launched coordinated assaults on U.S. military installations. Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq is hammered by a swarm of suicide drones. U.S. air defenses engage, but the sheer volume causes significant damage to the base. The escalation spreads south. In Yemen, the Houthi rebels, armed with advanced Iranian technology, launch a massive ballistic missile barrage. Their target is not military, it is economic. The missiles are aimed directly at Saudi Arabia's critical oil processing facilities in Abqaiq and Khurais. Saudi Patriot batteries intercept several missiles, but the swarm is too dense. Multiple warheads strike the refineries, igniting massive infernos visible from space. The global economic impact is instantaneous and catastrophic. With the Strait of Hormuz closed and Saudi production crippled, oil prices shatter all previous records. The International Energy Agency warns that the world is facing an energy crisis worse than the 1970s oil shocks and the Ukraine war combined. Asian markets, heavily dependent on Middle Eastern crude, go into freefall. Supply chains freeze. The specter of a deep global depression becomes a terrifying reality. Back in the Gulf, Iran escalates further. They launch medium-range ballistic missiles directly at U.S. military headquarters in Qatar and Bahrain. The sky over Doha becomes a battleground. Thayad and Patriot systems engage in massive, desperate interceptions to protect thousands of American personnel. The kinetic war is matched by a silent, invisible conflict. Iranian state-sponsored hackers launch a massive cyber offensive against U.S. military communications. Satellite uplinks are jammed. GPS signals in the region are spoofed, creating a fog of war that severely hampers coalition targeting and navigation. The geopolitical fallout is immense. In Beijing and Moscow, leadership views the U.S. entanglement as a strategic opportunity, but also a dangerous wildcard. China and Russia issue stern joint warnings against further U.S. escalation, moving their own naval assets into the Indian Ocean as a show of force. The threat of a wider global conflict looms large. The United States is now fighting a multi-front war against a deeply entrenched, asymmetric adversary. The Pentagon realizes that limited strikes will not reopen the strait. A massive, sustained operation is required to break the Iranian chokehold. A second carrier strike group is ordered to the region. Thousands of additional Marines and sailors are deployed to the Middle East. The objective is clear: neutralize the Iranian anti-access area denial network, clear the minefields, and secure the islands controlling the strait. But Iran's strategy is built on endurance, not confrontation. They are prepared to absorb massive punishment to achieve their strategic goals. The IRGC disperses its remaining mobile missile launchers into civilian areas and rugged mountain terrain, making them nearly impossible to hunt down. The war of attrition begins. Every day the strait remains closed. The global economy bleeds billions of dollars. Time is on Tehran's side. The U.S. military prepares for Operation Crimson Strait, a high-risk, high-casualty offensive to physically retake control of the waterway. The operation will require amphibious assaults on heavily fortified Iranian islands, backed by unprecedented naval and air bombardment. It is a gamble that could break the Iranian military or result in a catastrophic loss of American life and a permanent regional quagmire. As 0 hour approaches, the world holds its breath. The outcome of Operation Crimson Strait will determine the future of the global order. Operation Crimson Strait begins at dawn. a massive multinational armada led by U.S. minesweepers and protected by a dome of electronic warfare pushes into the choke point. Overhead, EA-18G growlers flood the electromagnetic spectrum with noise, blinding Iranian coastal radars and severing command and control links to their missile batteries. The minesweepers deploy autonomous underwater vehicles. These robotic submersibles hunt the smart mines, detonating them safely from a distance. The ocean surface erupts with massive controlled explosions as the minefield is slowly, painstakingly cleared. But the IRGC is not waiting passively. From hidden caves along the rugged coastline, Iranian forces launch a desperate barrage of anti-ship cruise missiles, hoping to overwhelm the electronic jamming. The U.S. fleet responds with a wall of steel. Standard Missile 6 interceptors and phalanx cannons create an impenetrable shield, swatting the incoming threats from the sky. To permanently secure the strait, the Pentagon orders amphibious assaults on the Iranian-held islands of Abu Musa and the Greater Tunnel, the linchpins of their coastal defense. U.S. Navy SEALs and Marine raiders storm the beaches under heavy covering fire. The fighting is brutal, close quarters, and highly kinetic. The Iranian garrisons fight fiercely, utilizing deeply entrenched bunker systems and tunnel networks. But the overwhelming firepower of the U.S. coalition slowly grinds them down. By day 3 of the operation, the islands are secured. The Iranian anti-access area denial network in the immediate vicinity of the strait is effectively dismantled. Iran's conventional military capabilities are crumbling under the sustained bombardment. But a cornered adversary is often the most dangerous. U.S. intelligence detects alarming movement at Iran's remaining deeply buried nuclear facilities. Highly enriched uranium is being moved. The fear is palpable. Is Tehran preparing a dirty bomb? Or are they attempting a rapid, desperate breakout to assemble a functional nuclear warhead? The world is pushed to the absolute brink. The United States prepares its strategic nuclear bomber fleet. The doomsday clock ticks closer to midnight than ever before. Recognizing that the situation is spiraling toward an apocalyptic conclusion, the international community finally intervenes with overwhelming diplomatic force. The UN Security Council holds an emergency, closed-door session. China and Russia exert massive pressure on Tehran, while European allies pressure Washington to halt the advance. Back-channel negotiations are hastily arranged in Oman. Both sides are bleeding. The U.S. has suffered significant casualties, and Iran's infrastructure is in ruins. A fragile, highly conditional ceasefire is brokered. The U.S. agrees to halt its advance into Iranian territory. Iran agrees to allow international monitors back into its nuclear sites. The guns fall silent, but the damage is done. The immediate fighting pauses, but the Strait of Hormuz remains a heavily contested, militarized zone. The aftermath is devastating. The global economy has been permanently altered. The spike in energy prices has triggered a deep worldwide recession. The concept of uncontested American naval dominance in the Persian Gulf has been shattered. The era of cheap, asymmetric weapons defeating billion-dollar platforms is here. Iran, though battered, has proven that its strategy of endurance and proxy warfare can exact a horrific toll on a technologically superior adversary. The intelligence assessment is grim. The 2026 Iran war was not a decisive victory for anyone. It was a brutal preview of the future of conflict, a future where autonomous systems, hypersonic missiles, and cyber warfare create a battlefield that moves faster than human decision-making. A future where the lines between economic warfare, kinetic strikes, and nuclear brinkmanship are terrifyingly blurred. The United States military must now fundamentally restructure its force posture and doctrine to survive in this new, highly lethal environment. The Middle East remains a powder keg. Only now the fuse is shorter and the explosives are far more powerful. The ceasefire is holding for now. But in the war rooms of Washington, Tehran, Beijing, and Moscow, the planning for the next conflict has already begun. The 2026 Iran war changed everything. The question is no longer if another major conflict will erupt, but when. This has been a WARFRONT Intel Scenario Briefing. Stay vigilant. The future of warfare is already here.